Okay, so I think we can start. Everyone who is at the entrance, you're welcome. So I will start with my with how I'm aware today, because this presentation would be very specific. It depends on your experience, but I hope so. I hope that you will feel the same vibe that I felt a few weeks ago. So my name is Łukasz Bajsarowicz. I'm working with Strix right now, and I'm also the maintainer of Magento open source project. In my spare time, if I have some, I train other developers how to perform better with Magento, especially with Magento. And the story starts with our capital city, Warsaw. That's why this presentation is very specific. It's focused on second line of underground train in Warsaw. This year, 6 new stations are being opened. So my friend Eva, who is the main engineer of this construction, invited me to the construction site to feel how it's to build the underground, something which is huge, which is very difficult to deliver and very expensive. For me, it was really awesome feeling to be there and to see how people work there. So everything looks pretty the same that our companies do it on a daily basis. We have to analyze the projects. They had to analyze the project. They had to deliver all the external resources they needed, like the digging machine, like all the cranes, etc., etc. And during the construction, they had to provide enough materials to do the construction. And then, after digging the tunnels, they had to put all the infrastructure in and finish up the metro, the underground train stations. It's the same. When we work on e-commerce projects, we start with planning, with recommendations for our customers. Then we choose the right platform to deliver the project to the customer, to deliver it to the market. We choose the solution. In this specific case, it's Magento, and the external the extensions that we want to use. We are responsible for these extensions, just like the main constructor of Warsaw Underground train. They are responsible who they choose to their team to deliver the underground train. So we are responsible which vendors of extensions we choose in our projects. And what's the most important, we have to work, we have to teamwork with our contractors, with our employees. So that's why I wanted to show you that's a very important thing, that it's the same. We have unit tests. After each part of work done, even planning the functionality, the single atomic part of application, we focus on preparing the test scenarios, how it should be done. The same for single delivery on a construction site. Each lorry of concrete has to be verified against something that you prepared before. The specification, the documentation, how it should work, how much should it weight, the volume of the concrete delivered. The same for integration tests. After delivering 2 or 3 classes, we check how they work together. If one class talks to the other the right way and they work together, they perform what we wanted to achieve. And it's perfectly the same for building underground metro. underground train. It's the same with geodetics engineers that verify if one part of the tunnel is in the right angle to other one and the right distance. And the last one, functional tests. We are finishing the project. We are almost ready to deliver, but we have to check if the train can get from the one side of the, or from one station, from the first station to the last station, then turn around and go back, all the way back. For us, it's testing if our application, in this specific case, it's e-commerce platform, allows customer to search for the product, to see the details of the product, to order it, and then get the invoice or return it. It's the same. That's why I just wanted to point out we are constructors, but in the different abstraction. So that's the last part of this Warsaw Underground, let's say, bullshit. Let's focus on one thing. There are no excuses to do it worse than the Warsaw Underground train constructors do. We have to be responsible for our work, and there are no excuses. We cannot say we don't know how to test the solution, because if we don't know, why we started to build it? And if we say we don't have time to do the tests, maybe we should use existing tests. We are not the first people in the world who do e-commerce. Someone did it before. That's why we use Magento, because they did it before. We can use something that they delivered. And then it happened. I went to the Mage Test Fest conference in Amersfoort in 2017, and I met awesome people who were focused on testing Magento. Then it was 1 year after 2 years, exactly 2 years after first release of Magento 2.0. And the main benefit of Magento 2.0 was the compliance with unit tests, the methods to just test the code that we deliver. And at the Mage Test Fest, I saw for the first time solution that really convinced me, and that was Magento Functional Testing Framework. It's made of Codeception, it's made of Selenium, and it's reporting the results with Allure. The last two are really common tools for testing everything, like everything on the web with Java, Python, etc., etc. The QA teams all around the world use them. Codeception is very specific to PHP. It just automatizes the testing with PHP. Testing with it's just bridge between PHP and Selenium and the WebDriver. And at the very beginning, there were only a few tests ready to use. It was like tests called end-to-end testing for a single customer, and that was really poor. But I saw the potential in it, so I joined the project. I really believed that that will work. So I joined the project, and 1 year passed, the project was abandoned. Then another year passed, and last year I went to MageConf in Kiev, and I realized that they did, after the acquisition of Adobe, Magento acquisition of Adobe, I realized that this project is back on the main track. So it was said at that conference that Magento Functional Testing Framework has been an asset to the quality of core Magento. And in the time that I thought it was abandoned, for the real, it was developed internally in Magento core team. And then the last sentence is the most important. marketplace will be integrating MFTF tests that you submit into the marketplace workflow and front-end, so that your commitment to quality can be demonstrated to potential customers. That was the conference that changed the angle of my development, of my commitment to this project, because I realized that it provides the money, it provides the security, the safety of the development. So things escalated quickly. People who are responsible for spending money in Adobe, this guy on the right, Igor Gorin, he decides what money goes where in Magento. And if he says that that he notices the change of approach from extension developers in Magento, that means he sees the potential in it. And even yesterday on Meet Magento New York, there was a presentation about Magento functional testing framework. Another one was last year, like I saw you before on the slide from it. The project overall is developing really fast. So how to run it, that's the main part, because you may think that, okay, I have to have this whole technology stack, I have to have this Selenium, this Allure, this Codeception, I have to configure that, etc., etc. If you're running Docker environment, it's only adding one extra image to it. You just add the browser Chrome. If you are debugging, if you want to see what's happening under the hood, you just add the debug version of it. So adding just one part, like 4 lines, yeah, I prepared for it, 1 second, yeah, like 4 lines, you can get the Selenium running. So for development purpose, it's like 2 minutes rebuilding your Docker compose. And only thing that you have to take in consideration is that Codeception has some issues with working with latest versions of Selenium. So the latest working version is 3.8.1. That's just a hint if you want to start it really today or tomorrow. And my recommended images are standalone Chrome debug and standalone Firefox debug. You may see that I opened the port 5900 to just connect with VNC. Thanks to that, you can preview what's going on in your browser. Because when you run the tests, this is running the environment, 1 second. Okay, sorry, wrong order. If you run the command to run tests, it's vendor bin MFTF. It's delivered together with Magento. You may see some of the commands, and at the very beginning, you have to build the project. It creates a set of files, but the really important for you, really important for building your test environment, is just .env. You provide the Magento base URL, you provide the admin credentials, and then Selenium host and what browser you will run. Thanks to that, it's like 10 minutes to run your first test. But before I run them, I want to just show you how it works. It's like built from XML files. Magento loves XML, as you see, as you know. They put everything into XMLs. So they deliver the set of tests, the set of resources with the core Magento, and then you can customize this test, or just extend them, or use some of the resources. If, for example, if you have cart page and you want to test if your custom functionality is adding one free product to the cart, if amount in cart exceeds some value, you don't have to use the XPath CSS handlers to know if the product was added or not. You can use already defined sections because everything is hierarchized, is in hierarchy of pages and sections, as you see. So if you customize the cart page, you can override the definition of cart page. You can replace the sections. You can replace the XPath handlers. And talk is cheap. So how it looks like inside. That's the example test. Maybe I will skip back for a moment. Okay. Never mind. When you look at the test, it's made of not only instructions, but in this specific case, it's made of action groups. Action groups are short scenarios that can be repeated easily with providing arguments. So, as I mentioned, if you have, in this specific case, if you have contact us page, you don't have to provide the whole scenario, how you send the message to the shop owners. It's just enough to provide action group that open contact us page group, that's the first line, or submits the contact us form. You don't have to provide all the instructions, how you click the, how you fill the fields, how you click the submit button. It's just made by Magento, so you don't have to do it on your own. And at the end, you can use another action groups that asserts that form was submitted successfully. It means that under the hood there can be a set of instructions that checks if email was delivered, if success notification was shown, if all the fields were reset to the entry state, so are empty. So that's how you build the tests. That's another example, validation of email on checkout process. You can see that there are some instructions, raw instructions, like in the middle of fill field, and you see checkout shipping section, that email. We refer to already defined sections that Magento provides us. So they defined how to identify in the DOM, data document object model, how to handle each of the fields, each of the buttons of the texts or messages. You just can reuse their work in your tests. And how action groups looks like inside. Action group, as I mentioned before, is set of instructions. So it's made of instructions like I'm on a page and we provide where we should enter to start the test or to perform some specific action. Then we fill the one or second field, click the sign in the button and wait for, in this specific case, it's close admin notification if it appears. To use with data, we have, for example, in fill field, we have user input. So the value that is provided to perform the test. You can have a set of data. You can have like multiple credentials and name each of them or create variations with them. So we use data for it. Data is also provided by Magento for most of the cases. So you can define the data files and then reuse the data to perform the tests. Last thing, it's this page and section. Page defines the specific URL on your page, on your website, on your e-commerce platform. It can be cart, it can be admin login page, and then it's made of sections. If you have cart, you can say that you have in cart this main section which contains the list of products, but also the summary section. So each of them are separated and you can reuse them. And after performing the tests, you get the results in Allure. And I recorded the video to show you how you can just get through the tests. And if you have a failing one, you can just see what's, you can see the screenshot from it. So even business can manage, business or project manager, someone non-technical can find out what went wrong during the tests and, for example, repeat the test or just fix the issue if it's related with the context of the test, with what happens around it. Maybe simultaneously, some of the actions were performed manually on the same environment, and that's why the error happened. So it's really easy to get through the results. And just before me, there was presentation on BDD. So from, I don't remember the name, but Kokot. It's pretty the same for MFTF because output of the tests is also BDD-like. You can provide the instructions in BDD-like method. It's apathic version of BDD. As you see, it's like I am on admin URL, I fill username field, blah, blah, blah. But it's still BDD-like, so you can easily explain to non-technical person using the output from the test what happened, why the test doesn't pass. And one of the main issues I handle when working with MFTF, people say, it doesn't make sense because everything right now is going to the direction of single page applications, to PWA. We don't use the Magento frontend, so why should I use MFTF? It doesn't make sense. I have to rewrite all the tests. So thanks to the abstract layer of Magento, most of the tests are really reusable because you don't have to rewrite the tests to work with your frontend. It's enough if you replace the specific handlers in sections, and then the core tests from Magento will work like before, like on native Magento, because every action is performed on Google Chrome or Firefox, so you don't have to replace all the tests to work with Magento. And the question is it worth it? Maybe how you feel it? Because I feel, yes, I do Mage too, and I test effortless. And I really feel it. Like I really feel its future for testing in Magento because we are lazy as developers, and having so huge amount of tests already done, we can be lazy in less lazy way. We can use something that's delivered out of the box and just check it, just sometimes amend it to changes that we performed to Magento. And I feel like it pays off, especially for me, who is training people about it. And sooner or later, extension developers will find the benefit from it, because it doesn't matter what version of Magento you run, it doesn't matter what's the environment, it doesn't matter what front-end libraries you use. Application should work for customer exactly the same way on Monday, Friday, or Sunday morning. So now it's time for your questions, for your consideration, how I performed and how you feel it. let me give you a microphone. That would be easier.
Yeah, thanks. My question is not related strictly to Magento, but maybe you did some research because we are also an agency and we are using a lot of we would like to use a lot of integration tests, but do you know an alternative that is abstracted from Magento? Maybe, I don't know, something related maybe to Gherkin language or any building blocks that can be an alternative, but more for other systems?
To be honest with you, there are better solutions to test Magento that are not related with Magento at all, that is related with I don't remember the name, but it's like Node.js tools to test. But the main benefit from MFTF, considering that, is that amount of tests you get out of the box. That's why I'm promoting MFTF. Otherwise, I agree that I did the research. I know better solutions. I mean, like easier to write. That you can even ask intern to write the tests, but it's still you have to build all the test coverage from the scratch, and that's the issue. That's why Magento wanted to unify that with that XMLs. And oh yeah, another issue, if you use these abstracted libraries for example, in Node.js or Java, you still have to change the test each time when the core changes were done to the Magento. You upgrade the Magento, you have to replace, you have to fix some of the tests. With Magento, the tests are delivered inside the modules. So if you update the module, you update the tests, the core tests. That's why it should work. Maybe other question? Okay, so give me 1 minute. Okay, one rule. There are no stupid questions, and I have 3 Magento pen drives with me. So 1 is already solved. 2 more questions.
Okay, so you said before that you recommend developing using progressive web applications, if I understood it well. And I tried to set it up, and it didn't work out of the box. So it was like skeleton with that wasn't working. Is it continuously updated right now? So the state is better to for me it was unusable. Like if you understand my question. Yeah.
Let me rephrase, and if it's right, then confirm. Your question is about Magento PWA solution. Okay, so PWA Studio. So it's continuously developed. It's developed mostly by community, and I don't have up-to-date information for now, but a few weeks ago, some of my friends tweeted that it works, but it's a few weeks ago. It's not like 2 months ago, because on March, yeah, I was at the conference that people were complaining that it's completely useless. Yeah, so if it was March, May or so, I can agree. Okay, so if it was May, I feel like it was worthless effort to try it running. Okay, so last question. Okay.
Okay, I would like to ask how much the test does run. How long does it take for the test to run?
The whole test run for Magento continuous integration platform is 4 hours, but it's only because they use hacks to perform it so fast. If you try to run it on your local machine, my result on i9 processor and 16 gigs of RAM is 16 hours. But the important part is that are not the unit tests. So that should be performed, for example, for each release. Okay, and I dropped my pilot. Could you skip to the next slide? Sorry. Okay, there is one business that I started. It's a video course of MFTF. If you are interested, it will be free. It's not done yet. I planned it for September, for 1st of September, but I failed due to work. Yeah, that's the pilot. Sorry. I failed, but it will be delivered in a few weeks, I'm sure. So you can subscribe to the newsletter, and you will get notification about the course, about the training online, because it's not only video, it's also a set of quizzes, set of materials, PDFs, etc. So you are welcome to join. It's free. And one more thing, last thing, really last. I want to invite you to the contribution, because as I mentioned, PWA Studio is developed by community. MFTF is now developed by community. The tests are migrated by community. So if there were some tests in past Magento versions, the tests are rewritten and developed by community. So if you want to be a superstar, if you want to go to the conferences, try to contribute. You will get valuable feedback from Magento Core. And we have 3 superstars in Poland. It's Strix from Krakow, it's Divanti from Wrocław, and it's Snowdog from Poznań. They are superstars on the market, so you can be another one. You're welcome. And I have one plugin extension to test email delivering with Mailhog. So if you want to check if the emails are delivered to the customer the right way, if all the placeholders were replaced properly, you can use the plugin, you can use the extension, and it works with MFTF. And that's all, really all.